All right, so what we're doing is we're going to call it the Death Star problem. Okay, what it actually is referred to as the gravitational binding energy of a star. But to keep your attention, we're just going to call it the Death Star problem because that's really what we're going to do. We're going to blow up a planet. So this could also be the gravitational binding energy of a star/planet. Okay. And it's more fun because you get a picture in your head of blowing up Alderaan. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a planet that has some mass m and some radius r, and we are going to work out the energy required to blow the whole darn thing up. Just, right? Why this matters? Well, in a practical sense, it doesn't for us in regular mechanics. But if you look at the amount of energy that is or work that is done in causing a whole star to come together, oh, that's this energy that we're going to work out. So this is all based on us trying to blow up a planet because I think it makes more sense than just having stuff come together through gravity over a long, long period of time. So we want to blow this thing up. And so this is really just escape velocity. And if you understand escape velocity, then it's fine. But just as a quick refresher, let's say we wanted to go through and lift just an object up into space. Okay, the work required to do that, because I want to lift with a force that is equal in magnitude but opposite in direction of gravity, would be gmm over r squared, where m is the mass of my central object, little m is the thing I'm trying to lift a wicked long ways out into space. So I've got this force. And so if I wanted to do the work to lift some object, that would just be the infinite sum of all of my forces to lift the object with respect to r. And again, just it's going to piss off the math teachers, but we got to go from r all the way out to infinity, or to make Miss Donovan downstairs happy, the limit of infinity. Yeah, bless you. So, work to lift. I like how y'all are super quiet because I took the camera out. Like y'all shut up. It's weird. Feels weird. Okay, but from r to 0 of all this, I'm just subbing this function in. Gmm over r squared dr. Okay, all we're doing, and you've seen this before. What am I ultimately deriving here? The work to lift something is going to be what? Negative gmm over r evaluated from r to infinity, or the limit to keep our math teachers happy.
Not from the limit of infinity to 0 to the limit.
Oh, good Lord, man. There we go. I'm like, why are they so quiet? Just sitting there. I put a 0 here. Limit. Sorry. Okay. So I got the limit. Things can go way out into space. All right. So this is the work to lift this thing. All right. So ultimately all we get is the work to lift something is, when you work all this out, gmm over, call it capital R, or your initial r. Okay. Whatever radius this thing starts at, I'm going to lift it all the way out into infinity. This is the work required. What does this look like? Yeah, this is the gravitational potential energy, or really this is the positive version of gravitational potential, because, and this goes back to work, is a negative change in potential. So our gravitational potential energy is given by negative gmm over r. We literally derive this from that. Okay, so I want you to realize at the heart of all of this, all we're trying to do is just lift something out. This is similar to escape velocity, or this is truly escape velocity. If I can give something enough energy to overcome this potential well that it's stuck in, it's going to go infinitely far out into space. That's the whole premise behind escape velocity. So this is the work that we have to do to lift something. But what are we going to lift? The planet. We got to lift this planet up. Okay? But imagine we're going to go through and deal with this like an onion in layers. Okay? We're going to remove one layer, or parfait, Everybody likes parfait, right? We're going to lift this layer away. And then what are we left with? A little bit smaller planet. And then we're going to lift another layer away and left with a little bit smaller planet or star. And we're just going to keep taking away layers from this thing. In fact, we're going to pull away an infinite number of layers that are infinitely thin. All right? So what I want to do is I want to break this thing up into basically two parts. What we have is like a shell that we're going to lift away from a core. All right, so we've got these two parts. We're pulling a shell away from a core. This is fundamentally a shell that has some mass. So I'm going to lift it up, and lifting it up, I'm going to do a certain amount of work on it. Okay, but the problem is once I pull this shell away, what happens to the mass of my core? It decreases, right? So, and that's the weird part of this thing. Because this is like sucking on a gobstopper, right? The longer you suck on it, the smaller it's going to get, the less material there is there. Okay? Keep making funny faces. I should have had you sit right here. You could just make funny faces for the kids who are gone today. So, the first thing I want to do is figure out just the mass of a shell. Okay? And so we'll call this for now the mass of a shell. You're going to see how this ties into the total mass in a nerdy way in a minute. But the mass of a shell. Okay? In order to know the mass of a shell, okay, there's a certain amount of material here. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look at the density of that material, and we're going to have to look at the volume of that shell. Because density times volume is mass. All right. Now, again, like I said, we're assuming this whole thing is uniform density. Okay, so you're just going to have to go with it. I know that's not perfectly true for anything, but we're just going to say it's uniform density. So, the density part's easy to figure out. Okay, the density of this material, if you look at this entire planet or star, there's a certain mass in a certain volume. So we're going to have a mass of our original star or planet over the volume, 4/3 pi r cubed. There's the density of our material that we're dealing with. The volume, on the other hand, that part's a little bit tricky. Okay. This is a thin shell. This is like a balloon. All right? And so this round balloon or this shell has some volume to it. Now, the problem with the shell, where people get stuck, is this shell, we're going to say, has some radius r and some thickness dr. It is infinitely thin. It doesn't mean it has no thickness. It has some thickness. It's just infinitely thin. So really, the volume of the shell is going to be the area of the shell, or the surface area of a sphere. I'll go back to doing this in black. This can be 4 pi r squared multiplied by its thickness, dr. You go, maybe that feels a little bit icky, but I've got a surface area times a thickness. So that's the volume of this thing, the volume of this shell. And you don't need to write this down, but and we've seen this before with other problems. Let's say you look at this and you're like, hey, this looks somewhat complicated. I'm just going to slap an integral on here for funsies for the moment. 4 pi r squared dr. Let's say I wanted to look at all of the volumes of all of the shells from 0 to capital R. What should I get here? Yeah, when I integrate this thing, what I'm going to get is 4/3 pi capital R cubed. This is the volume of the whole thing. Okay, if you're to, and this is just a validation that calculus works, right? I mean, if you look at this whole thing, if I take a bunch of concentric shells stacked up on each other, even if they're infinitely thin, we're going to get the volume of this entire sphere. Okay, so really what this is, we can call it the volume of a shell, but if you want to look at it in a more like technical way or nerdy way, I suppose, whatever you want to call it, it's actually dV, an infinitely small chunk of the total volume. Now that's sort of not consequential to the problem we're working on, but I want you to realize there's a meaning behind this. The problem is people, with DRs and DVs, you take calculus and you forget these have physical meanings. This DR is a thickness. This DV is a tiny little piece of the total volume. When I add up all of those volumes, I get the total volume. That gets lost on people in calculus. But remember, we're trying to come up with the total mass. There's no way I'm going to fit this all on this board. So the total mass of our shell is going to be m over 4/3 pi r cubed times our volume, which was there, 4 pi r squared dr. Okay, remember, I only want the volume of the shell, that is this. I don't care about the volume of the whole thing. That would be an errant thing to do. So I said don't write that down. Okay, so you get a little bit of a cancel party going here. And if we clean this up, we got the mass of a shell is equal to m, the total mass, over r cubed. I don't want to lose my 3, so I'm going to put it right there. R squared dr. This is the mass of a shell. And again, kind of like what we did here, you don't need to write this down. Okay, the next step. Let's say you're like, all right, this looks complicated enough. Let's slap an integral on this stupid thing. Okay, I'm going to integrate this thing just for funsies. 3m over r cubed, r squared dr. I want to look at all of these little masses of all of my little shells from 0 to capital R. What am I going to get? Not immediately obvious, is it? Whatever. We got 3m over r cubed. Those are all constants, right? So what's the integral of r squared? George is like, I'm just going to wait for somebody else to answer it. 1/3 r cubed. And I want to evaluate this thing from 0 to capital R. What happens to my 3 and my 1/3? They cancel out. What's this r cubed going to become? Capital R. And so when I integrated all this crap, what do I wind up with? The total mass is equal to m. Right? Just like, I mean, here, kind of, I think most of you, because every calculus teacher on earth has done this, is they show you when they start doing shells, they go through and they go the area of a circle, or the area of a sphere, they integrate it, and all of a sudden you get 4/3 pi r cubed. You've seen that before, so this doesn't surprise anybody. But this equation starts to look a little bit ethereal to people, and they're like, I don't know what's happening now. You integrate it, and you get the mass of all of my shells put together should be the total mass, shouldn't it? So that's the mass of a shell. We're going to put all this together now. Okay? So I've got this work, okay? And all we've really been doing is, in coming up with the mass of a shell, we've been working out that term right there. What do you got?
George was upset about the different sized R's. I just clarified that.
Yeah, we got to be careful because we got r, the original radius, and then we've got r, the radius of our shell. And that can easily get lost. And when I work this problem, if I work this problem out twice, I'll probably screw up my r's half the time. So just be careful. Because if you're not careful, yeah. And you squiggly writing people. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you got mass equals mass. That's great. So what really mattered here was not that. Not that. These are lessons in calculus. Okay. We care about that. I got the mass of a shell. But remember, we care about the mass of the shell. We also care about the mass of this core. As I start taking away shells, what's going to happen to the mass of the core? It decreases. So the mass of a core at any given point mass, I'll call it MC, is going to be, this is actually a lot easier to deal with. We have a solid sphere that has some density, so that's going to be, what did I write for? M over 4/3 pi r cubed. This is the density of the material times the volume of our core. What's the volume of this core? How large in radius is the core? r, little r, right? Because as I start taking shells away, I'm always going to have some core that has some radius r, all right, little r. So the volume of this core is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, I've got a density times a volume. I'll put them in cute little parentheses. Density and volume. Now what happens to my 4/3 pi? Cancel party. So the mass of the core is actually pretty easy to deal with. It's m over r cubed times little r cubed. That is to say the mass of the core is proportional to the cube of its radius. So I've got the mass of the core, I've got the mass of the shell. So what do we do with them now? We put them into work to lift. Okay? So we'll go. So we've got this work. And then we've got our equations for the mass of the core, which was m over r cubed. Two different r's. Mass of the shell is equal to, gotta forget it, 3m over r cubed, r squared dr. Yeah. So put it all together. The work is equal to g mass over r cubed, little r cubed, times 3m over r cubed, r squared, dr over r. Y'all are no fun since I took the camera out. Got real quiet. I'm just going to keep the camera out the rest of the year. That can make life easy. Okay, work is equal to, if you just clean this up carefully, you got a 3 from that, g m squared r, I'm going to leave it as to the 5th right now because I only want to deal with my numerator, dr over r to the 6th r. A little bit of cancel party there. I got that. Cleaning this up as it is, 3g m squared over r to the 6th. And I know you're seeing something to the 6th and wanting to pee your pants. Don't. R to the 4th dr. All these are what? Constants. And you just got r to the 4th. So we're just integrating r to the 4th. We're going to bump this up by 1. 1/5 r to the 5th. Okay, so I got work is equal to 3g m squared over 5r to the 6th. Oh, I completely just forgot the point. I'm backing up. We're integrating this stinking thing, okay? What I had was an equation. I got lost in the point. This is the work right here, or this equation here, was the work to lift a single slice, a single shell. I want to add up all of the works, which is why I'm taking an infinite sum. And I want to look at all of my shells from 0 to r. Sorry, I left out that integral for a second there because I just got ahead of my head. All I was thinking is, am I going to ask George the integral of r to the 4th? So 3g m squared over r to the 6th. George, what's the integral r to the 4th? There we go. R to the 5th. Evaluated from 0 to r. What are we going to wind up with here? Okay, it's shy. All right, 3/5 g m squared over r. That's the energy required to blow up a planet. For the Earth, it's a lot. I had to write it down. I looked it up earlier. That works out to be 2.25 times 10 to the 32nd joules if you want to blow up the Earth, which is like the amount of energy given off by the sun in like a week. It's a lot of energy. Okay, so many energies to blow up planets. But it's pales in comparison to the strength of the force.